Welcome to the APAC playoffs, everybody. 8 teams from 3 regions will be duking it out over the next 3 days to see which team from which region is going to reign supreme. Joining me on the virtual desk today is my lovely co-casters, Guz, Dev. How are we, boys?
I am so hyped. It has been so long since we have done a finals here, and it's so long since these North, South, and South Asian teams have played each other. We finally get to see which region will establish their dominance.
Yeah, dude, I'm keen. I'm not normally up at these hours, so a little bit strange, but excited nonetheless.
Let's go and have a look at the teams, of course, here that have made it to the APAC playoffs from both regions, APAC North, APAC South, and we've even got 2 visiting teams from the South Asia Invitationals. Dev, they come into this probably as the underdogs, it's fair to say.
Yeah, definitely. I think that coming into this year with the format changing a little bit, in 2020 we had APAC North, and then we had kind of Oceania and APAC South separate, and then now we've got APAC South and APAC North equivalent regions. We've got 4 teams from each of those playing here today, plus there's 2 from the Nationals. I'm really excited. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty about who's going to be the favorites here, and we have so many different nationalities as well across the board, which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, and the most exciting thing, at least for me personally, is we get to, at least at the end of stage 1, answer the question of which division is the best. I know there's a lot of conjecture whether it's North or South or maybe even South Asia, and I guess that the players will give us that definitive answer by the end of the day. Or by the
Hopefully
end of the third day. At least the third day. It's a long playoffs.
Maybe we might even get an inkling by the end of day 1, guys, just for you. Let's go and have a look and see what these teams are going to be fighting for. What's up for grabs? Well, there's quite a lot up for grabs, as you can guys see on your screens. Lots of SI points. They are going to be on the right-hand side of your screen there. Most importantly, what we should mention from the get-go, though, is the stage champion. Of course, the top team from APAC North and the top team from APAC South, at minimum, will be walking away with 390 points. But Dev, everyone else, lots of SI points up for grabs.
Yeah, certainly, and a lot of prize money as well. Now, a good way to think about this, if you're used to watching something like NAL or EUL, is this is kind of like the culmination of those leagues. You know, after you finish playing EUL and NAL, you get your SI points, you get your prize money, whereas here in APAC, in order to get that, there's one extra step that's playing through these playoffs, and so that's what we're doing. The #1 team crowned in the stage champion match on Sunday will be the #1 team in APAC.
And there is serious points on the line. Like 510 points is absolutely massive. It's equal to finishing first in the other regions, again, like EUL, NAL, and gives you a massive boost for the rest of the season. If you manage to finish first here, get that stage champion under the belt, honestly, you only need to be in the mid-table for the rest of the year and secure a few more points, and you should be in the top echelon for the standings for 6 Invitationals. So don't discount just how important those points really are, even in stage 1.
It's a long year. Every point that you can get, so valuable. Let's go and look at the divisions, though. We'll start with the South Division. Of course, no bias here, but we saw a lot of these teams, guys, throughout the season. Elevate ended up taking top spot in pretty much almost a flawless season. Only the 1 loss, 18 points, and it doesn't look like any other team even came close to them.
Yeah, it was an incredibly close season, albeit Elevate really head and shoulders above the rest of the standings. It was quite close, particularly around that mid-table, and we did see teams like 7th Heaven make a resurgence, which was, quite unexpected. Last year they struggled a little bit, but so far they've surpassed our expectations. And I mean, looking further down the line, the teams that won't be making the playoffs, at least, I know we're going to give plenty of airtime to the teams that did, but to the teams that did not, Giants, Order, Wildcard, all huge names in the region, just not quite good enough to make it in stage 1.
Really is the elephant in the room. Those teams at the bottom of the standings, they're obviously not picking it as well as they did last year, but that's really exciting because it's made way for these new teams. In particular, I think 7th Heaven is a team that they played in APAC North relegations last year. They've never played in Pro League in the past, but they've shown to be a really formidable team. I think Chiefs as well. Both of those teams are on the upwards trajectory at the moment. I think they've both got a serious shot of taking it to these North teams and these South Asian teams and putting themselves near the very top of APAC.
Should just mention as well, especially maybe for the APAC North viewers who didn't get to catch much from APAC South, Elevate is formerly the old Xavier roster. For those maybe unaware of that roster change, Elevate then became the Chiefs, the old Elevate roster. So we had all of that plenty going on in the season. Let's go and look, though, of course, in a more northern direction. It is APAC North's standings from the stage. In the end, though, Dev, I said Elevate was almost flawless. Cloud9 were actually flawless.
Yeah, they absolutely were. Pretty amazing that they didn't even take a game to overtime. They won all of them outright in regulation. They got the maximum number of points possible in the 7 play days, which is 21. Honestly, quite astonishing that they managed to achieve that. Really a testament to how far Cloud9 has come as a team, and also how far Korea has come as a region. Of course, we've got 2 or 3 more Korean teams further down with Dam1 and T1, both enormous organizations that we have welcomed into Rainbow Six. Unfortunately, their first season wasn't too hot, but that has made some room for some of these Japanese teams, and of course Fnatic, who is, I guess, a pseudo-Japanese team here, with their roster actually comprising of a Frenchman and 4 Aussies. But they've managed to somehow scrape through the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I think it was fair to say that Fnatic didn't have the best season last year. Obviously, there were some issues in terms of where they were located and whatnot, but they bounced back. They moved to Perth. It seemed to improve their performance, but it did get quite narrow towards the end of the season, right? It came down to play day 7. They had to beat Talon in order to make the top 4, but they did so in a confident fashion, 7-1. So they've established themselves nicely in the playoffs. Are we looking at them as a potential threat towards the very, very top? It's difficult to say, but I'm sure they're going to be giving it their all and trying to get back to 6 Invitational. Of course, they missed the last one, right? And they'll be looking to bounce back.
2 teams that are going to have to give it their all, though, if they are going to be able to compete with these big top teams from APAC North and APAC South. Our 2 teams from South Asia, of course, we've got Kira Esports and Mercenaries. This was their run through the South Asia Nationals closed qualifiers, Dev. And look, very long bracket, and in the end, I guess we've got the 2 teams that deserve to be here.
Yeah, certainly. I think quite an exciting moment for South Asia as well, with a bit of a shake-up in the region. Union Gaming didn't even make it to the closed qualifiers, and previously they were the dominating force alongside Mercenaries throughout this region. So it's opened up a fantastic opportunity for not only Mercenaries to then go back and take that #1 spot as they did last year throughout South Asia, but also for a new face to make their way into the APAC playoffs, which is Kira Esports, a team which has kind of come up out of nowhere for a lot of people, and I'm really excited. They bring a lot of fresh faces, and I think that it'll be great to see them playing against these other APAC teams.
Yeah, like Dev said, Mercenaries is a little bit more of a known quantity. We did see them in action last year. Kira, though, they finished 4th in the South Asian National Stage 1 last year, and then 5th in Stage 2, so they never really broke in to the upper echelon of South Asia, where we saw them compete, of course, on the main channel last year in those mini majors. So super excited to see exactly how that team will shape up. Kira as well actually had 2 roster changes, or 2 additions to the roster just a couple of weeks before the South Asian Nationals. So they've somehow managed to bring that together. It's worked really well for them so far, and who knows, maybe they could be a huge underdog heading into this bracket.
Very well could be. We've seen their bracket. Now let's go and look at the APAC playoff bracket in its entirety. Of course, it's a big one. It's a doozy, and it might just take everyone maybe the first day to just wrap your heads around this one, Dev. At the end of the day, though, it's a simple double elimination.
It certainly is, and of course, remember, these are the 3rd to 10th place teams that you are seeing here, with the top 2 going into the state champions, which we'll see in a minute. But to focus on this, we've got a lot of best of 1s, so you play through the upper bracket. If you lose a game, you go down into those best of 3s in the lower bracket down below. Those will be elimination matches with best of 3 format, and the top 2 teams qualifying through this will get the most SI points, and of course the coveted positions at 3rd and 4th place in APAC. But this is really exciting. Every team has a second chance should you lose your first game, and I'm just really keen. I think it's going to be so exciting to see this cross-region competition once again.
Yeah, and just, I guess, adding on to that, it's important to remember that the stage champion match is separate to this bracket, so don't get too confused. If you finish in this bracket towards the top, 3rd and 4th is the best you can position in APAC. The stage champion match is already locked in. That's Cloud9 versus Elevate, completely separate to this bracket, and that, of course, will be in the later days. So try not to confuse that, but of course, we'll be walking you guys through that as much as possible throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, and let's also walk you guys through what the schedule is going to be for today here. Of course, it's a 3-day event, so we are going to start this one off slow. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We do have a couple of matches that are not going to be played on stream today. I should preface that immediately, but the games that we do have on stream are here on your screen right now. So we'll be kickstarting it off with Chiefs versus Fnatic, and then we've got Guts versus 7th Heaven. So, Dev, straight away, we're going to go straight into APAC North versus APAC South today.
Honestly, I'm unbelievably excited for Chiefs versus Fnatic. Not only is this APAC North versus APAC South, but of course Chiefs have now won the OCN, and so are the best team out of Oceania. Fnatic, you know, formerly fought within Oceania and ANZ Pro League, and they have 4 out of 5 of their players are Aussies. So you know, they're also in Perth at the moment, which is obviously in Australia. So this is in a way a battle of between regions, but it's also kind of a battle of Australians and of Oceanic dominance, and I'm really keen. We haven't seen Fnatic play Oceanic teams in a very long time, so honestly, like, if you're gonna point to one match at the whole weekend, aside from obviously the Elevate versus Cloud9 final, this is the match I am most hyped for, and it's our first one today.
Yeah, clearly Dev showing his OC bias in the first matchup, and I think the second one still has room for excitement as well. We've got the 3rd place team in Guts from North versus 4th from APAC South in 7th Heaven, and both of those teams have never been able to quite crack into the upper echelons of their regions. Guts in particular have really found themselves stuck underneath the likes of Cloud9 and even the Giants back in the past when they were in North, and 7th Heaven are a rising force, so I have no reason to doubt that will also be a really exciting matchup, so cannot wait to kick off the playoffs with those 2 banging games.
And then, of course, as we saw, a lot of TBDs as we get our results from not only the matches that we'll have on the stream, but even the off-stream matches that will start to get that trickle-on effect, and we'll actually have those matches on the schedule later on today. Let's, though, turn our attention, of course, back to your favorite matchup, Dev, Chiefs versus Fnatic. It is, of course, going to be our first game of the day of the playoffs in its entirety. Chiefs, they've had a great resurgence at the back end of APAC South, getting into the playoffs, I believe, on almost like the final day or something like that. And as for Fnatic, well, I mean, at this point, when was the last time they even played an Aussie team?
A very, very long time ago, I'll tell you that much. But of course, you know, scrimming is a different thing. But in terms of official matches, funnily enough, not only have Fnatic not played Oceanic teams since way back in ANZ Pro League start of 2020, but they also haven't played that many matches overall compared to most other teams on account of Fnatic don't play nationals. They didn't head down into relegations last year, and they also haven't made any playoffs. So in a way, these guys are kind of coming in cold. They've only played, what, 17 matches in the last 9 months, and you're comparing that to like some of these other teams which have played, you know, 60 even. So it's pretty crazy. This team has a lot of time to practice, but not as much actually front-facing competition, and that can work both ways. They've had a big addition in our farmer coming in, obviously previously played in both the European Pro League and the NAL, and now he's come down doing the full circuit down into APAC, and he's taking on a lot of that support and IGL position, helping that leadership in tandem with Mag, and he's actually been a stellar performer so far as well.
Yeah, I think Dev's done a good way prefacing what we're expecting from this team, but in terms of what they expect from themselves, I know you were speaking to Krapal, their coach, and he's going to be disappointed if they finish anywhere lower than that 3rd and 4th position, meaning that they need to make it all the way through the playoffs bracket. Not going to be easy considering they only did finish 4th in APAC North, and the competition is really fierce. So I'm keen to see Fnatic get tested, and against the Chiefs, I cannot wait because the rivalry between those 2 teams is going to be crazy.
Definitely can't wait to see this matchup. Let's look at the Chiefs lineup, and I'll throw it straight back to you first, Cuz, so you can get in a bit more of a word for these guys who have just been absolutely outstanding in APAC South, along with OCN, of course, the winners there. The last few months for them has just been a total resurgence in form.
Yeah, at the very beginning of 2021, there were definitely questions and concerns raised as to whether or not the Chiefs were consistent enough to perform at a high level, but they've basically silenced us, they've silenced the critics, and particularly in the last few weeks, they have really switched on. It's important to remember that Fisho guy jumped into this roster at the start of the stage. It took him a little while to warm up, but it feels like they're really connecting those dots at the moment and have been on a really good level. Their coordination and teamwork has just been pristine, and I'm sure if they can bring that to the server in the playoffs, they could go really, really deep. 2 other players to keep an eye out, for me at least, probably Worthy and God Legion. When those 2 are popping off in the server, it gives the rest of the team a lot of confidence and gives them a great head start in those rounds.
I've actually got a bit of a fun fact for you. The only other time that this roster Chiefs has ever qualified for anything past an Oceanic level and into APAC was actually just a year ago through the ANZ Pro League. They came second behind a team called Fnatic. You guessed it. Now, of course, we didn't have that Pro League finals in Brazil that season. It was cancelled, so they never ended up getting to play. This team has never played at an APAC level before, aside from 6 invitational qualifiers. This is a massive moment for the team, and they're also playing against their old rivals of Fnatic, who they graduated ANZ Pro League with a year ago. I just feel like this match could not get any more just well boiled and cooked up for a storyline for us today.
I think the only way it would, Dev, is if this was the battle for third place and it was on Sunday in the first game on Sunday. Let's go look at the map vetoes for this match. Now, of course, it is only a best of one, so we are only going to see the one map. It is going to be Cafe where we're heading. Guz, I'll go to you first on this one. Chiefs had the option of Villa Cafe. Are you happy with their selection?
I think it's important to remember that heading into a best of one, there's obviously going to be some sort of volatility in terms of what maps they decide to go to. We also can't say with 100% confidence how well they know each other in the scrim department. Obviously, as Dev said, they haven't played in officials, so heading into the map ban phase, it's really difficult to have expectations as to where we're expecting to head. I'm sure Dev can give better insight in terms of a form guide, but it's really difficult to say Chiefs won or Fnatic won the map veto, at least on face value.
I feel like you do have to get a bit speculative here, but I have a bit of a theory, right? So the Chiefs, in the OCN final, best of 5 they played, they ended up winning the whole league, right? They only got to ban one map because it was a best of 5, and that map was Cafe, and I have a feeling that they were saving it for today against Fnatic. It's not a map that Fnatic have played very much. They played it twice in the last 2 stages, lost it both times, albeit in close games. And this is a map that Chiefs have played occasionally, but they haven't revealed their entire strat book on. I think this is hard to say who's won the map veto. I think Chiefs will be very happy with the map veto, and I can only imagine how Fnatic feel about it, but I think it's going to be pretty juicy.
Well, I want your final thoughts now before we get into the match and predictions at that as well. I'll go to you first, Dev. You seem like you're siding here with the Chiefs.
Well, it's kind of hard not to be a little bit biased considering we've casted them through OCN and APAC South. But of course, Fnatic have such a legacy, and my love for them also runs really deep throughout history as well. It's hard to say who I'm going to predict to win this. I think it's a case of Chiefs. They are really in hot form at the moment. Fnatic scraped into these playoffs, but they have a lot of their strategies hidden. So let's see if they can come out of the gate swinging and show Chiefs something that Chiefs won't be prepared for.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit on the fence like Dev. I'll give a straight up answer. I think it's going to go OT, Chiefs 8-6. It's going to be a close game, and I think Chiefs will just edge out based on their really recent form being super strong. And as Dev prefaced, I think they've probably done a really good job in getting a map that they'd like. Well,
that's the thoughts here from the virtual desk. Game is ready to go in. We're going to throw it over to your casters, Manic and Raven.
Thank you very much, Xenox, and of course we are here and ready, Raven. This is the matchup that we've been waiting for specifically. Of course, there is a little bit of history for us to go off here, but not recent history at all. So I think that I'd agree with Dev. It's so hard to call.
It is. It's going to be really tough to call. On top of that, Fnatic seem to have been picking up form in APAC North towards the end of the stage, and Fnatic have always been the kind of roster you can't ever really quite count them out.
No, you can't. And specifically coming into the playoffs, this is the big one for both of these teams looking to make a statement at the end of their season. We head to Cafe to kickstart what will be a 3-day long campaign, and we can't wait to get underway, Raven. We start with those ban phases, and I think I would actually go as far to agree with Guz here. I think that Chiefs have won this veto, and now it's going to come down to in the server. Oh, hello.
Ooh, good little ban there on the Zofia. I mean, always helpful in terms of the utility that Zofia brings and getting that off the board. But I think Zofia has often become a ban that removes some comfort away from certain players. Now, there are 1 or 2 players that in particular have played a lot of Zofia on the Chiefs. Maybe that will play into a level of effect. But I feel like this is more of a utility counter here. The soft breach in particular that Zofia can bring through the impact grenades in her launcher, as well as the breach charges. Pretty valuable, so good ban.
Thatcher to go next. Haven't seen a Thatcher for a very long time, it feels. Valk to be taken out finally by the Chiefs as their last ban. I feel like we see it just all so often nowadays. Anything to read into, do you think, Raven?
Not this stage. I mean, Thatcher and Valkyrie both very common and comfortable bans. Valkyrie in particular on Cafe. She can really facilitate some aggressive plays, runouts. You get a lot of info because of the openness of the top 2 floors of Cafe. So just taking away those extra cameras, the deployability of those, is usually really powerful. It will affect the defense a lot, and given that Fnatic is starting on defense, probably a good play for the Chiefs to try and equalize that first half.
Yeah. Looking for a firm start, you would want to believe, and Fnatic are going to go for that reading site first up. I mean, it's one of the same at the moment, I feel, on Cafe. I mean, I could be wrong, but I do feel like we see all 3 bomb sites used just so sparingly. It's, you know, all have the viable opportunity here. Do you think this could catch off the Chiefs?
Not really. I feel like Cafe is one of those maps where you could really easily mix up your sites any way you want. We're starting to see a lot more as well, that teams will just not start on that top floor site to start with. They will mix it up from the get-go, whether it's to start at kitchen or to start on this bomb site. It's become a very flexible map in terms of the order you play sites and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd be surprised if the Chiefs feel caught off guard by this.
Yep. No doubt Fnatic will extend onto that top floor and look to hold quite extensively. In that wasting time, obviously going to be a forefront of the decision that's going to need to be made here. Now, I mean, Vast bringing the line, I don't want to read too much into it, but I do know that the Chiefs have been working quite hard on Cafe over the last, week, 2 weeks. I feel like maybe Vast or the Chiefs as an entirety just want to be cautious as to what Fnatic could throw at them, because as we have alluded to, they are an extremely dangerous team. With a lot of firepower, so that will at least eliminate some of the cheekier plays to begin with.
I think it can be particularly helpful on Cafe for many reasons. One is it will help with the roam clear, or roam hunts if you're going for that, but given the verticality that's possible on this map, using those scans to freeze your player in the vertical spot can help you net a kill, or just keep them out of a danger position of denial, for example. There's many different ways that you can use these lion scans to your advantage. It's something we've seen the Chiefs use quite a lot lately as well. They really have leaned on this lion. So I'm sure Fnatic will be ready for that because of that. They would have done their prep. They'll be ready for this lion.
Done their prep and most definitely their homework. It is, of course, the playoffs for the entirety of APAC. And the last time we saw these two teams play off, it was well over a year ago from all accounts, back in the Pro League. That's how long ago it was. And thus far, not a hell of a lot of action from the Chiefs. They haven't really pushed or tested Fnatic as such, but they are certainly starting to take control of Piano and in towards Cigar. But Fnatic are so far extended here, Raven. That mirror window is going to cause them all sorts of problems.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a pain. Looks like Vast might be going to that top white window to put pressure. Not sure, but to your point, the time management so far from the Chiefs has been a little bit slow. Looks like they're trying to just be cautious of Fnatic's setup. And that can be really detrimental, because for reading in particular, if you're trying to get a reading plant, like, you seriously need to have cocktail control by round now. Like, within the first 2 minutes, you need to try and get that cocktail control. Fnatic still have absolute control of the top floor.
Yeah, there's so much utility they're going to have to burn. Really nice decision from Digital there to deal with Tex rather than trying to find, more so the horizontal line. They are starting to put a little bit more pressure on here. God Legion now playing from that fireplace position, looking to put the pressure on to what is Mag underneath. Surely Mag would have been able to hear that. Lusty being able to find a kill. Surely that was on the vertical line as well. Starting to fall apart here for the Chiefs, Raven.
Yeah, only 30 seconds. Now, it felt like, look, the drone has spotted Mag out right now. We've got that yellow ping coming out, and Mag is just holding this position. So Fisher's guy is going to come over and capitalize. They found themselves with the man advantage. They've got this entry to dining, but it's going to be sketchy, man.
It's going to be so sketchy. I mean, at the moment, Fnatic still have that top floor control. They still have everything they need, but God Legion's gone a little deeper here. The diffuser's in their hands. Oh my goodness, how have Chiefs been able to find the 2 kills? Lusty now in a 1 versus 3, looking to come back from around the corner. Cannot find anything in round number 1, and Chiefs walk away with their first round of their campaign in the playoffs.
It's a little slow to start, but look, there's a lot that goes on that we can't necessarily see. Obviously, there's a lot that happens in the background in comms. Chiefs obviously taking their time and communicating to figure out how they're going to structure that push. In the end, we were a little bit critical about the lack of vertical control that they were getting in that first 2 minutes, but they didn't really need it. They got really good entry in through train and towards dining, and then they bounced back from that because, of course, dining is pretty sketchy. Most teams set it up with a lot of holes. It's really the cheese grater kind of site, but the Chiefs just put the foot on the pedal, got the aggression on, and closed the round out really well. So this is a great start from them.
Fnatic not opting to reattempt that site. In fact, they're moving on to the top floor here. So it is, in all honesty, a great start. Like you said, we had been critical, and there is just so much you can't really catch. And comms being the biggest part of that, Raven. We're never going to truly know what's going on in the minds of the players without those comms. So clearly they had a very clear idea and clear process as to what they were looking to achieve there. And to do so incredibly, sometimes it can come down to, in that final 30 seconds, winning your ones. And in this occasion, the Chiefs have walked away with it. So
5 seconds to insertion.
Certainly sets them up with a little bit more of a more confident play style, I should say, which if Worthy and God Legion can get off on the right foot, it's definitely going to be a tougher game than Fnatic may hope for. But, I mean, in saying that, you really can't discredit a player like Tex. He's just been insane for them in the first stage of APAC North, so it's tit for tat, honestly, in terms of firepower, so...
See whether Fnatic can bounce back in this second round, but early signs, it looks like this is going to be quite a competitive game, and the Chiefs stepping up to the challenge. It's going to be about this consistency. Now, this Lion has been quite helpful for them to be able to move through the map and gain these positions. It's a lower entry from White here from Vast. Now, it looks like they're aware that Fnatic are going to try and play some vertical lines if they get direct control of site. So they're going to try and clear this out, which I think is a good call from the Chiefs. They've got some really good drones set up already. So, yeah, again, all things pointing to a good start from the Chiefs, but this reading player is going to be really critical.
And you know for a fact it's not going to be free. That can be an awkward position to deal with, especially if you do have the vertical control from up top. Vast still taking their sweet time, and to be honest, this is vastly different from what we've seen in OCN and APAC South. Generally, we see a lot of the early contact in the first minute and a half, whereas this time, we still haven't seen anything, but that player and reading is starting to get pushed and squeezed a lot tighter, Raven.
It is, but the time is really slipping by, and they've got such great info from this Mozzie drone. This is really well played from Mag right here, playing very patient, and he's going to find the opening pick onto Digital. This could easily fall apart for Chiefs if they just continue to throw the bodies at this. And one by one, they're going to peek in. God Legion does win it out, though. Almost refrag from above, but not quite getting the shots needed.
Just the vertical lines we were talking about. Now Tex may be able to stop God Legion reattempting to go back up White. But they will start to gain that vertical control, flush out the default positions for the defense on each of the bars. And 30 seconds. I mean, have they done enough here? That's the question.
We'll wait and see, but they're in some pretty awkward positions. They haven't really gotten that much control. And in this 4v4, I really feel like this is going to be favoring Fnatic. It's just going to have to be chaotic. They're going to have two people coming through these windows, Fnatic. It's really going to be tough.
Certainly is. If God Legion can find the pinch in the right time, it looks like they're going to go from all different angles here, but they can't find the kills. Lusty will open up with a double, and that's going to crumble the Chiefs. Vast, the last to remain, and he'll be dealt with. Fnatic, an emphatic round at that.
Yeah, just not enough done from the Chiefs, and not enough early enough, I would say. They decided they wanted to hunt Magnet, but just not enough pressure put on his position. On top of that, it was Digital that went for the entry in through reading, sledged the hole, and that was it. It wasn't really followed up. They weren't ready for a refrag. It was eventually refragged, but that was very risky. God Legion could have easily also lost the gunfight to Magnet, and the round would have been over like even a lot earlier.
Yeah.
So Chiefs just going to have to tidy that aspect up, but really well played from Fnatic. They had some great vertical lines in to protect Magnet. So while it appeared he was alone, there was a lot of teammates actually there to cover him. So I like that from Fnatic, and it's great to see them answer back so quickly.
Defenders, protect your bomb.
Has to. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game of, you know, trading, of checking, and allowing that to really happen from the Chiefs. I did expect them to be pushing multiple angles at once. So as you said, you know, there was that opportunity for it to have been completely stopped in its tracks, but never you mind. We are going to see Lusty and Mag sticking those what can be frustrating operators, denying a lot of that intel on the drones in the early rounds. So whether they decide to extend above or not, doesn't look like they've really used any of those, if only one mute jammer on that first floor. Mag's going up with 3, so most likely it's going to be a game of stalling out here for the Chiefs once more.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think this is look, just really good adaptation and countering from Fnatic to bring this mute Mozzie combo pretty consistently. The Chiefs obviously rely a lot on their intel gathering and have used it pretty effectively. So it's just going to slow them down. And we've seen already in both rounds, even the round they won, they were stalled out for the better part of 2 minutes. Now that is a Kobe and a half. Doesn't quite hit the mark. Lusty trying to be a little bit cheeky. But I think that's what's really important, going back to what I was saying before, is Chiefs need to be able to clean up this early round, because Fnatic have made a great adaptation. They've got the upper hand in particular for the first 2 minutes of these rounds. And I think if the Chiefs can't figure out a way to overcome that, it's going to be tough for them in this match.
It's more the start of these rounds just so quiet. Not what we really expected from the Chiefs. Well, not what I expected at the very least. Slowly but surely, though, they are taking control. A lot sooner than what they have in previous rounds. Obviously, it is only the top floor, and it looks like Fnatic really haven't put any bodies up there for now. Take the early contact, back away. The Chiefs have done a good job at dismissing that control, though.
Yeah, they have 90 seconds, and I mean, it feels like it's a bit better, but let's just remind you, it's bottom floor. So if you get this vertical control, you've got to keep going. You've got to get the second floor as well, and then you can start putting pressure on site. Often doesn't happen until around the minute mark. So look, based on that benchmark, this is looking good for the Chiefs so far. But without putting this extra pressure to the players on site, it's going to be tough for them to get these executes. And again, I'm just feeling like this is falling into the pattern of the last 2 rounds.
Something that we'll definitely keep track of as we are reaching the halfway point of the first half. Of course, nice C4 to catch out Digital once more. He has been a part of that opening kill death. The first round, he was able to find the opening kill. Unfortunately, he's been on the receiving end in both round 2 and 3.
He's trying to manufacture something out of this push. Worthy knows there's a player around the corner. He's actually going to go for this, and Lusty wins it. The Chiefs are just starting to fall apart here, but Fisho has done a nice trade, and the Chiefs are just not able to put anything to Fnatic right now. They are stepping up.
Certainly not just yet, but Vast hitting a shot like that makes you start to believe. Tex and Mag both low on site. Vast, they're looking to go together here. It's going to be an awkward fight. Nice swing from Mag to support the player just by the window. And Fnatic take another convincing round on their defensive side. This is not the greatest sign for the Chiefs.
No, I mean, they started pretty well in the first round, at least in terms of the execute. But these last 2 rounds have been very unconvincing, and Fnatic, to their credit, have done some great strategies that have countered the way the Chiefs like to attack, in particular the intel gathering. Now, that round in particular, we talked about it. It took about 2 minutes again for the Chiefs to get the map control they wanted vertically, and then they lost the opening kill, or the opening death. But on top of that, Fnatic weren't there contesting it. This is the thing and the power of the Mute Mozzie combo that has been stuck. It's not getting stuck right now. But the Mute Mozzie combo, the intel gathering, denial in general that Fnatic is bringing, I think is a solid source of this Chiefs stalling, because they're trying to hunt rumors that just aren't there.
Yep. And I do like that because, you know, at any point for Fnatic now, they can decide to put bodies behind that, you know, and if Chiefs go uncontested on that third floor in that round and then assume that it's going to be anything similar in future rounds, they can definitely be caught off by that. So I do really like that from Fnatic, keeping the Chiefs honest, keeping them guessing at the moment. And we'll wait and see whether anything really changes here for what is the next set of rotations for these sites. Of course, we have seen Reading Cocktail and Kitchen all attempted, and it was only the Reading site that really crumbled for Fnatic. And in all honesty, Raven, even that had a great potential for Fnatic to be able to take that one, as it did come down to, you know, 20 seconds and the 1v1s.
Yeah, now look, just talking about the timings of how these attacks have panned out. Just going back to looking at these opening kill stats. First round, opening kill happened at the 57-minute mark, or 57 seconds remaining mark. My gosh, I glitched that. Yeah. Then the second round was 1 minute and 6, and then the last round was 56 seconds remaining again. So it's showing that on an average, it's about 2 minutes of these rounds are going by before there's an opening kill, and twice it's been in the side of Fnatic. So the Chiefs really need to be cleaning up this entry phase and trying to get some dominance back over this part of the rounds.
I really like that from Lusty, just showing face in the bathroom there. And the second the util comes out, just goes straight back into Freezer, finds a bit of safety. And now with the Chiefs, they're once more stalled out. This time it's actually God Legion that has fallen at the hands of Tex, who once more has just been absolutely nutty for Fnatic, especially toward the latter part of their North season, I should say. And Fnatic just really holding Chiefs at bay here and continuing to cause so many problems for them.
Yeah, half the round gone, and yeah, Chiefs fighting from behind. Tex getting a great opening kill. Now that was the earliest opening kill we've seen so far in these past four rounds. But just the Chiefs are getting a bit stuck. Now, Worthy has been able to answer back, but let's remind you, this is not a top floor bomb site. This is, again, that second floor. They really need to be getting this cocktail control a bit quicker, and now this is a lot more aggressive from them, and they've taken Pillar's control, so a little bit better here from Chiefs, but just again, feels like Fnatic are in pretty good control of this match.
Now, if you recall last time, this is a vastly different approach from the Chiefs. Nice C4 from Stigs. You've still got to remember there's a player at the bottom of red that'll be looking for that flank. I don't think that was who it was either. Alfama finding one. What a shot from Worthy, though. That gives them an opportunity back into this, and you can see now that player over on red stairs making their way up. At Digital, he's read it. They've got the information on Mag right now, and if he's not careful, he'll lose his life and bring it back into a 2v2 once more.
Yep, and so that's the engagement, and Digital's the one that comes out on top. Now, 25 seconds in this 2v2. Chiefs are going to have to get moving, but it's Worthy. He's going to go down. It's not being able to be traded, Manic. 15 seconds, it's on Digital's shoulders.
Certainly is what you'd assume to be somewhat of the captain. He's going to go for the revive right now, bring it back into a 2 versus 2. Tex is going to push aggressively. Oh my goodness, Digital's found an opportunity here. It's just around the corner. The shotgun should prevail, and it does. Fnatic take a third round, and all in a row, mind you.
That was actually really close. I think Stiggs' HG was pretty close at the end there, so a good little effort to clutch there from the Chiefs. But as I was saying, it felt like Fnatic had still just too much control at the end of that round. So again, Fnatic really doing a great job with these defenses. They've adapted to what Chiefs have been doing so well, and they're really holding their own. And I think this is a danger of being a bit of a runaway for Fnatic. Chiefs really need to step up again. These early phases is where it just seems to be stalled out. We're having so much room to discuss things at the start of the round, Manic, just because I feel like the Chiefs have just been stunted trying to get this intel gathering going. Yeah.
Honestly, it looks completely different to the Chiefs that we've seen all season long in APAC South and in OCN. They've definitely, from everything that I've seen, everything I've noticed, they've definitely lent into a more aggressive playstyle. And right now, it just doesn't look that way. It does not seem to be coming off like that. And look, I'm not going to say that seems to be the reason that the Chiefs are so stunted, but it certainly is a very clear indicator as to the two different play styles. And Fnatic are just lapping it up. They are absolutely eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yes, they are. It's a cheeky little Kaid claw there in the corner
Insertion.
for the backstore. Now, the other thing I already just noticed is that Stiggs is running the FMG on smoke. Also something I'd totally love to see. Really fun to use the FMG on smoke and just to play smoke more aggressive. So see whether this does work out for them. Nice line of sight being set up.
God.
I feel like this is something that Fnatic have just done such a good job of, is they're really taking advantage of the verticality that you can get on Cafe.
Yep. It definitely seems like that. And, you know, playing one player downstairs whilst also giving you the support of that, Raven, I think you've highlighted it perfectly. And if you go back and have a look at the round specifically, you know, everyone's got the opportunity to do so in a VOD, you will see that the verticality has just been killing the Chiefs time and time again. Whether it be by C4 or someone just with a pure hard contact. Stiggs at the moment, this is a do or die position here. I mean, you don't really get away here scot-free. So it is one of those cases of burning as much time as you can. And what is still happening is the Chiefs are stalling out once more. There goes what is the only support that he may have. But how much more time can he waste? Surely not, Raven. Oh my word.
Yeah, they're just, again, too stalled out. You can't stay stalled in these windows. Tex with a great look, like it might have been a little jump out or even just a peek from the window. There's so many angles to be able to get these repelled players. And it's allowed Stiggs to get away. Now, he did almost lose his life. You'll see that he's on about 20 HP. But the fact that they've burnt 90 seconds, they got the opening kill, and they didn't get traded. Such a win, again, to this first opening phase of the round for Fnatic.
This is... Oh, and I love this even more. Just continuing to double down now. Fnatic are locking themselves into the site, ensuring that those anchor positions are going to be a little bit firmer. Digital, however, is really stepping up here for the Chiefs. Unfortunately, Fisho not having an impact, or so we would hope for. And now this is what we needed to see a little bit earlier, is the Chiefs taking the contact, looking for those early fights and trying to win their ones, because for all intents and purposes, it's definitely given them somewhat of a look back into this round.
It has, but it feels like they're acting on such little info, because Alfama has just been able to sit here for so much of this round. I feel like this is going to come back to bite the Chiefs, because they have only about 40 seconds. Still lacking a bit of control. Digital continues to step up, though, with that big grenade. Makes it 3 versus 3. 30 seconds.
Oh,
This could be the round the Chiefs are looking for.
it could be. Vast coming in from behind. They weren't expecting it, but Tex manages to find the trade, and there's Alfama. You spoke his name, and he's going to appear into a 1 versus 1. Tex now looking to rotate back across to the hallway. God Legion trying to outplay him right now. He's got no information whatsoever. Nor does Tex, my goodness. That is a stalemate if I've ever seen one. God Legion eventually finds the kill, and it all comes down to timing. Look at that. That's so unfortunate.
That was such a great little cat and mouse moment. Neither player having direct info of the other, just totally playing sound cues and, you know, last calls that the teams have been calling out. Love it. But in the end, God Legion did come out on top. Now, there's been a lot of rounds that we've seen come down to 1v1. The last 2 rounds in particular, very close rounds. But I think this is starting to add up to be a close game. The fact that this half could now be even a 2-4, I think is okay for the Chiefs. If anything, I feel like Fnatic would be maybe a little frustrated that the Chiefs are still in this half, because it felt like, for a lot of it, that Fnatic have had the control. Yeah. And if this was to go 3-3, I would honestly be a bit surprised, because it felt like, you know, the Chiefs have really struggled in this first half.
Literally up until that round, Fnatic just looked so in control, all until the Chiefs started making their presence known. You know, Digital's taking contact with what would be supposed to be a deeper line from Cigar. And I am really enjoying the fact that Fnatic have had so much control, because it's really tested the Chiefs here in adapting to what their playstyle has been. And look, I would even go as far to say that even the 2 rounds that Chiefs have won, Fnatic was still looking so good. So as much as a 3-3 half would just be devastating, considering how strong Fnatic have come out of the gates, it's hard to say. I'm not gonna bat on it too much, but I do think that it will come down to these final adaptations made in this last round. As Chiefs, this is their last attacking round of the half.
Yeah, and speaking of adaptations, you mentioned it. This is the second time we'll be seeing kitchen and cooking for the half, and obviously the only other time that we will see it. But the Chiefs did lose it back in round 3, and it wasn't too great for them. You know, it was a relatively convincing round for Fnatic. So I'm keen. I want to see what the Chiefs have done to adapt, because it felt like Fnatic made some great adaptations early. Now it's up to the Chiefs to do an adaptation. Uh-oh, God Legion. He's in an absolute sandwich right now, and nobody to back him up. Again, this is something that happened earlier. Fnatic get away with that one.
I really love that pinch from Fnatic. They know that there's a player in lobby, and they just go for it. They look for the opening engagement. And, I mean, look, God Legion finds the yokai, but loses his life. It's definitely not a fair trade or a good trade at that. Mag gets away back to site. And this is a vastly different approach from the Chiefs than what we saw in the final, in the first attempt that they had. And it actually looks like they have kind of fallen back to a similar roam clear from that second floor down. So far, they've got the control in 1:30 left, and it's looking a lot better in terms of control.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, but they're going to be punished by losing that opening engagement if they can't find another pick through some vertical control, because now they have got a lot more vertical control early. There is that opportunity. They might be able to catch a defender or two off guard, or at least push them in a position that gets them that chance to equalize it back out, and then they can try and focus on the execute. But a minute in the pocket gives them that time. Of course, Tex and Magnet are both under 50 HP. So those are two potential easier engagements to take, especially for vertical.
Yeah,
I really think this is just gonna come down to the clock here. Chiefs just need to be efficient, and if they can get something happening, they've got a chance.
Drones starting to run out here for the Chiefs. The intel running on only 3 drones to use. Worthy now going to drop right into the line of Lusty, but he gets away. So Lusty, I think he has seen that drop. He should be reiterating to Fnatic that they are starting to push in, and with that kill, a 3 versus 4, not bowing favorably at all for Chiefs, but Worthy may just be able to sit this here. No, Yokai not giving away its position right now. They've got 10 seconds to try and burn this out. Is it going to happen in time? Oh, Alphama, no! Alphama, how has that happened? It doesn't make a difference because Fnatic cleaned it up. But Raven, that could have been so close had they been able to get that down successfully and win their ones.
Yeah, look, Fnatic just threw a great collapse onto the positions that Chiefs had. They didn't have much in it, really. I mean, it was a bit of a Hail Mary play from Worthy to even go for the plant in the first place. And look, he was very lucky to even confirm it. Alphama had total control with that Yokai to be able to deny. It looks like it hit the edge of the bench above it and just didn't allow the Yokai drone to have enough to stick to. Regardless, there was no way that Fnatic were going to lose that, I felt. They had just such perfect positions for a retake. So, look, it was a good half from Fnatic in the end. I think our 4-2 is pretty justified for the half, but in the overall picture, I feel like Fnatic have got some really great momentum right now on Cafe.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I completely tunneled vision on that Yokai, denying the plant, and there was literally no reason for it whatsoever. I think you're making all the points there, Raven. Fnatic had themselves in the best possible position to deny the Chiefs what they were looking to achieve, and we will see a further extension than what Fnatic were playing with a closer player in Cigar, which, you know, on that ally you can cause a lot of havoc. Definitely need to be playing this one right. I'm really, in all honesty, Raven, I'm really curious to see how quick Fnatic decide to try to displace that player in Cigar. Because as we saw with the Chiefs, if you stall out too long, if you start that, if you start to make the moves a little bit too late, it can really cause a lot of trouble. So that's where I'm looking at the moment.
Attackers are heading out.
And man, all 3 ADSs are dedicated to this as well, so they really want to hard hold this. Now it's God Legion that is tasked with doing that, and he's on the Ella with the Scorpion. I was really hoping it was the F12 shotgun, but it's not. Regardless though, I think Ella is even the Scorpion in close range, it melts. You know, it shines in close range. But it's going to be tough. You know, there is some window positions in the piano room in particular that can really make it difficult for God Legion. That being said, they could open up for some runouts for the Chiefs to capitalize on. I did see Worthy is going for a bit of a run, so maybe he'd be the one to try and to do so.
At the very least, he'll show face. So Fnatic just, they need to keep themselves honest here, and you can see exactly that. I really like that. You know, regardless of whether he will ever actually go for any kind of, let's just say run out, doesn't make a difference. Fnatic now have to be fully aware that that is open and it's free for business. However, that's not the pick that Chiefs are looking for whatsoever. Farm are going to be able to find Vast very early on in the piece as well.
Look, it's can't help but feel this is starting to really punish the Chiefs. Ever since round 1, where Digital got an opening kill, the Chiefs have not won an opening engagement. Not a single one. The last 6 rounds consecutively, Fnatic have been getting these opening picks. Now, they haven't always capitalized on that, but only once did they not. It's really not great. And speaking of not great, God Legion has just been absolutely mauled by the skeleton key of Tex. And this is looking fantastic for Fnatic in their first attack.
He just got absolutely obliterated. And I think that this has been a pretty big difference so far for me. Fnatic have looked for those engagements, have looked for those fights. You can see it directly from Tex's position. I don't mind that from Chiefs. Show some face, try to ensure that they're staying honest, but I mean, how much time can he really waste when Fisho goes down? Worthy's dead. My goodness, this is an absolute onslaught and a clinic that Fnatic have put on in their first attacking round of the second half.
Really is. Now, Digital, he's been playing pretty well for the Chiefs in this game so far, but he's going to have to play the best round of his life right now. 1v5 is going to be very tough in the form that Fnatic have had. And in fact, he's not even going to get an inch close to that because Lusty is going to finish the flawless round for Fnatic, their first attack in this match. And it does move them to this 5-2 lead, which is a very intimidating lead now, Manic.
Yeah. It's always, it is always scary because, you know, you don't want to be forcing games into OT. You really... When you look at the format that we have in front of us of 3 days, we have a lot of siege to come our way. And the last thing you want to be doing is playing any extra rounds that you don't need to be playing. Now, this is the Chiefs' tactical timeout. I have loved the integration of this into the online format because it really has changed the tides of some of these matches. And I mean, dare even say that the Chiefs needed to call that tactical timeout in the first half. I know that's jumping the gun, but they certainly have not been holding the candle to Fnatic like we'd hoped. But this is a good opportunity for them to sit back and kind of take a breather.
It is. Speaking of taking a breather, seeing as we get a chance to take this pause as well, Manic, I've just been quickly reviewing some of these map results, just thinking about Cafe in general and the fact that Veto went here. I'm just not so sure I see the confidence that the Chiefs might have had in their own Cafe for this. They haven't had the greatest history on it. I mean, they've had a 7-4 win in Oceanic Nationals against a team called Rufflecopter. I mean, they're definitely not of the caliber of Fnatic, that's for sure. And then I scroll through and see that they lost to Elevate in the regular season of APAC South 2-7 on Cafe.
Yeah.
They got absolutely obliterated on this map.
Yeah.
Now, Fnatic also have had a bit of a sketchy history in having some losses against Fav. But historically, I feel like Fnatic has generally been a pretty strong Cafe team. But either way you look at it, I just don't feel like the Chiefs have had strong enough results where they can be like, yeah, our Cafe is super good. We can lean on that.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting when, you know, Dev prefaced on the desk about this Cafe pick was the fact that Chiefs had actually banned it in their best of 5 on the weekend, last weekend, I should say, against the Knights. So, you know, maybe I hate saying saving strats, but potentially they didn't want to, you know, potentially they just didn't want to show any team this weekend what their Cafe was like, and it just has not worked out in the way that we had hoped for. Clearly, there are still some. We have a long way between now and them actually fully losing the game. or winning the game, I should say. But it very much is one of those things where if we don't see a stellar second half from them, we will ask those questions. Now, one clear change, just very quickly touching on that, Raven, is Fisho Guy on that smoke that'll be holding the line to Freezer from VIP instead of the Mozzie that we saw from Fnatic, but it still looks fairly similar in the way that they approached it.
Yeah, this feels more traditional as well. You normally have an SAS shotgun player playing that position because you can swing close range to bottom of white, or you can use the SMG-11 for the long angle drop from the hatch. So don't mind that from the Chiefs. Now something I was going to quickly comment on. You talked about the whole saving strats thing. I just don't think that is such a good idea in Siege 1. This is probably potentially a hot take, but I feel like the teams that seem to be excelling, especially this year, are the teams that do a great job at playing their own style. Like they're still trying to adapt and counter in the moments, but they're just playing their game and playing it really well. So I don't know. I guess I'm still seriously questioning the whole veto system in terms of what the Chiefs have gone for here with Cafe. Gut feeling is that does favor Fnatic, but at the end of the day, they've still got a chance. Like it's only 3 rounds. They're also on defense, which tends to be the favored half or the favored side for Cafe. And look, Fnatic are slowly getting control right now, but 2 minutes gone. Time is going to start putting some pressure back on them.
Now, one thing that our wonderful observer has shown us there is that drone on site. Now, we haven't really referenced it yet because it hasn't seen a lot of action, but just there you're starting to see the Chiefs, they are getting floor banged, and this is going to be the issue, is they have so much information on site that they can play off. This is Fnatic, I'm saying, and it will really come down to those final couple of seconds, well, not even final couple of seconds, the last 20 seconds, as Fnatic are starting to get an idea of what they want to do here.
Yeah, they're really well set up. Honestly, you said it really well, Manic, that Fnatic have set themselves up for a great execute, and now Stigs has finally found the opening, 30 seconds. They're going to go into this with a man advantage, and this would be placing the nail on the coffin here for the Chiefs. It would really force them into a tough position, and now Fnatic are poised to hit the go button.
Certainly are. Positioning not only themselves, but the nail into the corner of the coffin. The Chiefs, what have they got? What kind of answer can they give us here? They are going to be sticking to plant right now. The deny will come in from God Legion. 5 seconds left. Is there any time? That pick right there might just seal it for the Chiefs, and it has done. Fnatic, they don't get enough done. There's not enough players there to trade out. And a round that will definitely go begging in the long run.
Yeah, look, that was Fnatic's to hold on to, but they let it slip just maybe a little too deep on the plant. No one covering that double door. The fact that God Legion could just run straight through and vault over the bench to deny a plant. Not too great there from Fnatic, especially given they had just so much control. I mean, we talked about it a lot. They had a lot of verticals. They had full freezer control on the white stairs. It's just that double door that wasn't being watched. So, well snuck through from God Legion. He has saved the game for Chiefs for now. And that may come back to bite Fnatic. Sometimes that's all it takes. The fact that Chiefs have just locked in a win on that bomb site, they don't have to play it again for 2 rounds. Maybe they'll do better on these other sites. All of a sudden it could be 5-5 and starts to put so much pressure back onto Fnatic.
Well, we actually haven't even seen reading yet, which is the best part for Chiefs. And, you know, they get a fresh site. Fnatic haven't seen this yet. And like you said, you know, the way, I mean, I'm going to quote you from earlier, but, you know, Cafe is a map, that you can rotate those sites quite liberally on. You know, you don't have to stick to. I'm not going to liken Clubhouse as much, but definitely with, you know, CC and Gym and Basement, there are definitely more favored sites on that. Whereas you can see it today, especially in this matchup, it's highlighted the versatility of these bomb sites and the freedom you have in choosing them. So without a doubt now, if Fnatic can't keep a hold on this round, if they can't convert this, we are really looking to Chiefs to tidy up their third floor hold in the next round, and really this will be game on if they're able to do it.
On top of that, thanks to the beautiful Devmado, who's done some great stats collection before the playoffs weekend, we can see actually that this is the most defender-sided map in APAC for Stage 1 at 64% win rate for defense rounds. So that's quite solid. It really does back up the fact that the Chiefs have the chance to bring this back. if they can adapt and capitalize to what Fnatic are doing. And it does also add more weight to rounds like the last one we just saw, where Fnatic probably should have had it, but just let it slip.
Yep. Bit by bit now. Feels like Fnatic are approaching this a lot slower than we've seen in earlier rounds. You know, first round, they were pretty confident in taking those fights before that minute 30 mark. Second round, they took really great control on that second floor. They found the opening pick, and now already a minute 20 burnt off of the clock. And they are starting to put the pressure on. They're going to be careful of around the corner. Lusty with the gun out will find the kill. He's playing out of his mind right now. They don't know that there's a second player there. Surely God Legion can do some damage. He's got 2 more to find. Just missing the shot onto Stigs. And now, that is that top floor gained control of by Fnatic. The Chiefs not looking to approach it just yet.
Yeah, look, this is just such a great example of a confident, aggressive team entry take just there. You know, Lusty and Stigs both pushing together. They got the trade regardless. Even though God Legion surprised them, they still got that trade. And oh my lord, they've just managed to get the vertical in through the Fisher guy. This is falling apart very quickly for the Chiefs. And the fact there is still a minute on the board right now, it's going to put just immense pressure onto Digital and Worthy to clutch this out.
Certainly will. And the question for me right now is, where is Worthy? Is Worthy looking to make a big play? He, not so much, is across more so to the top of red, but they're going to have pretty much everything they need here. That drone's going to give them the information, but in the meantime, Farmer's been able to, at the very least, put the pressure onto Digital to force him out into the open. The free kill comes in, and a 1 versus 4 Raven. This is not achievable for the Chiefs at all.
It's really not. Worthy is literally about to walk into a line of sight that he doesn't seem to be aware of. Now, he does have to get this 1v2 retake, because they still have yet to revive our farmer. Now, it looks like that is happening as we speak, and it is. So he is now back up. Again, it's back to the 1v3 for Worthy.
Oh,
even tough is going to be 30 seconds, but is this doable, man? Oh my lord.
Oh, no way.
Brought that back.
I mean, that is so close. You can see there Fnatic somewhat scrambling to try to shut Worthy down. Worthy, who has been, by the way, heads and shoulders the best player for the Chiefs, and especially in OCN, has just been a standout performer. You definitely don't want to be giving him the opportunity to like that. When Sledge had actually gone for that wide swing and reading, that could have been the opportunity they were looking for. Unfortunately, they can't convert it. And this is really interesting from the Chiefs. They're not moving on to their third floor defense. They're going to stick the reading. We'll wait and see whether they've been able to tidy up what they're looking for here.
16 to the Ella from the smoke as well. I think that really is a bit of a notice of intent here, where the Chiefs may be going to get a little bit more aggressive. But also using those Grishmop mines from Ella might aid them in preventing a bit of a rush push down the white hallway that we saw in that previous round. That excellent little opening phase from Stigs and Lusty together. I think that was really what ripped the Chiefs apart. The fact that they lost 2 players pretty quickly, and that Fnatic got that vertical control with over 90 seconds to go, really was infinitely helpful to get Fnatic in the position they were. So maybe that's what this adaptation's for, but yeah, look, the Chiefs, they're facing match point now. There is no more going back. They need 3 rounds consecutively, that's it.
And thanks to, once again, the wonderful hands of Dev Marta. We've always got to give him a shout out whenever he's given us the tidbits that we bring to the broadcast. Don't know how much it was referenced in the pre-show, but most definitely this is, I mean, every game is a big deal, but this game in particular for both Chiefs and Fnatic, whoever does lose this drops into the lower bracket, right? They cannot come third in the playoffs. No matter what happens, the best case scenario, they come fourth, which is incredibly dangerous, right? If you're fighting all the way through the lower bracket, it's all BO3s from here on out. It just doesn't really favor, I mean, it favors the storyline. It favors an incredible storyline, but I just don't know with the competition and the teams that we have in the playoffs right now. You don't want to be down there so early on, but it's got to be one of these teams. And right now, it is looking like the Chiefs. As Fnatic, like you said, well and truly on map point. That's ambitious.
Yeah, it was. I think that's 2 C4s that they've yeeted out now. Digital and Fisho both using theirs, so no more C4 denial. And they've sixed off the smoke, right? So they don't really have plant denial. Vast has already used all his Grishmots. Nothing else to deny by distance, so they're going to have to win some gunfights here.
Yeah.
But the win that they've had so far, at least, is they have denied some of this control from the Fnatic that they had a lot earlier. They still have this cocktail control, which is great, but it's only a very small battle in the context of this match.
Well, that's the thing, right? In the last round, we saw Fnatic take that top floor control quite early, and it allowed them to go for that reading plant with so much time left on the board, and if they do it again, it's going to be serious trouble. Digital, he's going to be able to hold the line right now. If they push in, he's going to be able to at least find some damage. He doesn't convert it to the kill, and you can see Stiggs not having a bar of that. They rotate back around to Cigar. Fnatic is somewhat stalled out right now, but it won't remain like that for long.
It's definitely working out better for the Chiefs, but they just need to be able to hold their positions here. Now, Fnatic are swarming through bar.
Yeah.
They seem to be particularly aware that the Chiefs players have actually defaulted off this.
Yeah.
So under a minute to go. At least the Chiefs have held all their players alive, but it's a very even amount of HP, basically. Fnatic maybe a little less, but this info from Digital is going to be key for the Chiefs being able to hold this round.
And God Legion being on the end of that is going to do some serious damage there if they walk into his position. I don't know how much information they think he's going to have, but he's got more than enough as Fisho goes down to Mag. Once more, the Chiefs are in the deficit. I can't even imagine how many rounds it's been. Make it a double deficit. Farmer's going to be sticking to plant right now. They can't deny it with the C4. They've been able to do some more damage. Once again, Vast has come from behind. It's a 2 versus 2. 15 seconds. Fnatic looking to try and find the pick. Vast wins the engagement. Lusty, what can he get done? It's Ringa-Ringa-Rosie. Vast plays back behind the pillar, and with no time left, this has to be a converted kill. Lusty tries to find something, but he can't do it. Chiefs, they hold on by the skin of their teeth.
It feels like, honestly, mate, it feels like we've been saying the Chiefs hold on for about 5 rounds now. They just managed to keep getting these rounds. Fnatic not able to close it out. Now, there is still this 2-round buffer, but it feels like it's just a matter of time. At the same time, though, maybe, look, Chiefs are just doing what's needed. You know, they're not excelling, but they're doing what's needed to get through these rounds. And I just can't help but think every round that the Chiefs just managed to get by like this, it's just danger for Fnatic. Just cafe defense, if the Chiefs finds just an extra burst of comfort, could really change the tide for this match.
I mean, if we look back at the rounds, right, the Fnatic defenses that we were seeing were just, they were concrete, right? They were rock hard, and I think that the vast difference right now, I've just said it. The vast difference was in that round in particular. Vast was on the flank. Vast was able to make an incredible play, all things considered. I mean, you think about what he's achieved there. Not only was he able to find 2 kills, but he was also able to waste enough time that Lusty had to get back off the diffuser. And that's just not something that you can rely on time and time again. Whereas Fnatic, their defenses, they were solid. And I think that when we look at this right now, and we are telling this storyline, Raven, very much it has been the case of, the Chiefs are just holding on, barely holding on at that. But at the end of the day, how many times have we seen this in Siege? A team only just being able to really hold on long enough to give themselves overtime and they come back and win the game. So Fnatic, they still need to be so cautious at this.
Yeah, they do. Now I'm just looking at some stats here, and I just noticed that the Chiefs are still yet to win another opening engagement. Fnatic have won, ever since round 2, Fnatic have not lost an opening engagement. Like, that is just insane. And I think that just more so indicates how much control and momentum they've had in the game. But that the Chiefs have just managed to clutch out these rounds, just seemingly against momentum, against the grain. I can't help but feel like it's a matter of time. But on top of that, if the Chiefs manage to get these opening engagements, how differently could these rounds play out?
The stats are damning. And Worthy once more nearly on the receiving end. At the very least, a lot of damage done to him. Backs away. I mean, look, sure, it's a minute burnt in Cigar now, so Fnatic are slowly letting those seconds slip away, but like we've seen time and time again, that time can... Yes, it can play an effect, and it can definitely play an impact, but so far we've seen the attacking side more often than not still take it to the defense with plenty of time left on the board. So it's not something that we want to hold on to just yet, but one thing to keep an eye on as Fnatic start to push a little bit more into the realms of raw contact.
Busty. He's hunting for Digital down in train, very much aware. He's trying to play these verts, but Alfama, he's going deep. They've smoked off this line of sight. It's not working out though. Both of the Fnatic players going down. And Chiefs standing up right here, Manic, on this little early execute.
Oh, wow. This is absolutely massive from the Chiefs. But Fnatic, they still have Stigs. They still have Tex, which have been playing quite impactful. And with Tex being as sharp as he is, you do not want to give him an opportunity back into this one. Fisho now, will he know exactly the positioning? It's just a matter of time of when they decide to swing. And now with Stigs left, he'll just be tickled down bit by bit. This is well and truly a much better round from the Chiefs.
Stigs trying to find some degree of an opening here, but it's just so many angles to worry about. Still so much time on the board as well, but Worthy is going to swing and finally close that round out for the Chiefs. Now, Manic, we have a very close game. It is now 6-5. The Chiefs have brought this deficit back from 6-3. And I'm just... I've said it before, and now it's starting to feel like it's happened. The Chiefs have started to flick this switch. I feel like the switch is potentially flicked. That was a much better round. In fact, it was arguably their best round ever since the first round of the game, which was an attack round. Now, if they have suddenly found some synergy and gotten back into this comfort, it's a bit concerning for Fnatic.
It certainly is, and, you know, maybe as well they are feeling the concern because it is their attack pause, right? This is their opportunity to do what Chiefs were able to do little less than a couple of rounds ago, where they got to reset the momentum. They were able to reset their mentality. And clearly that has played an effect. That last round really, really questionable from Fnatic. It has given the Chiefs confidence and opening and a chance at pushing this to OT. Once more, this is double a limb. Whoever loses this game, they're not out of the running completely, but they cannot make third place guaranteed, which again will have serious implications later down the line when we get to the end of this year and we start to add up those SI points.
Attackers need to locate and
Great point, Manic. You think about the context of a full 12-month season. It's really 9 months where you get a chance to collect points, and then of course there's the SI phase. But when it comes to the end, like, you could potentially count it back to this game. Let's say it comes down to Fnatic and Chiefs at the end of the season on SI points. This match will decide who gets the most out of this stage, the more out of this stage between these two teams at least. It could be the difference at the end of the day. Like, come 8 months later, 6 months later, this could be the difference maker in terms of who gets an SI spot and who doesn't. So there are massive stakes to all these games this weekend, and that's the context of this one in particular. Now, I'm sure that pressure will, to a degree, stack up, especially when it starts to get this close. Fnatic have been in such a comfortable position most of this game, if not all of this game. On top of that, going back to the stats, God Legion finally did get an opening kill in that last round. It was the first opening kill we've had since round 1 for the Chiefs. Pretty huge.
I mean, look how close the game is, right? But then look how blown out the scoreboard is. God Legion finding another pick, and it's on the mag this time. My goodness. It's a good response from Stigs, and one that is much needed. If that goes unanswered, they are in serious concerns for what should be a closing out round here. Just catching him as well. My goodness.
Yeah, that was a close one, but aggressive start, and I just think that that's probably hurting or going to hurt Fnatic more than it's going to hurt Digital. Magnet being the Nomad, he's not going to have had a chance to get those air jabs out. Maybe he got 1 or 2, but I think it's unlikely. So some utility really lost there, and in fact, drones as well lost with Magnet. But it was a good good answer from Fnatic. And it's a really good top floor push here. They've already cleared off this whole top floor. Lusty ready to clear through the second floor as well.
Yep.
And the time management is looking very on point.
Yeah. Big thing right now. Big thing is time management. It's what faltered at the end for Fnatic as well. They just didn't have enough time to be able to trade out those kills and push in. I mean, there was a lot wrong with their first attack in Kitchen. Should never be able to convert a 2 versus 4. But touching on that, Raven, they had such great control in that first round. And there is absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be able to do this again. At the end of the day, it does look like they're pretty much achieving the same kind of push, the same kind of intel that they were able to gain before. Maybe the one difference might be that drone on site. I don't know, but for now, they've got a full minute to play with.
Yeah, look, casting our minds back to round 8, Kitchen cooking, Chiefs defense. It was at a 5v4 in favor of Fnatic for the plant, and they still lost it. It was that push in from God Legion at the double door to get the clutch. Now 40 seconds. Fnatic already look like they are pretty keen to try and drop and get this plant happening. So already a bit of an adaptation here from Fnatic. Oh, a team kill.
Oh, that's not good because Worthy's been able to make matters worse. God Legion holds the line. Alfama is not going to be given a way back into this. Fnatic have stumbled at their final hurdle in round 12, and we head to overtime on the back of the Chiefs with a very strong second half performance.
Very strong second half. Very, very strong second half from Chiefs. But at the same time, look, they had some pretty shocking rounds as well. I'm certainly going to say it. Fnatic have kind of bundled this. I feel like they had just such a great opportunity to close this map out. It's not just that it's defender-sided. Fnatic had clear advantages in many of the rounds that they lost in that half. They just could not capitalize.
It may be the storyline that we sing out at the end of this game is, you know, the capitalization of mistakes. That's 3 rounds in a row that Chiefs have successfully taken on their defense to push us to overtime. And now they get to repeat it. They get to repeat their more, I would say their stronger side by heads and shoulders. So it is concerning. There is a huge concern for Fnatic right now after, like you said, all the advantages they had. The fact that they were taking rounds so cleanly, and nearly every single time it looked like they had that advantage. We are going to be asking the big questions now. This is the big matter. It is overtime. The loser drops to that lower bracket and will not be given a second chance from here on out. It is detrimental.
Attackers are heading out to the bomb.
But it is. And on top of that, Chiefs have got the defense overtime. So both 4-2 halves in favor of defense. You would think and feel that that probably favors the Chiefs right now. If they manage to get this first defense round, they just have to secure an attack. But regardless, this is a big moment for Fnatic. They could make a massive statement winning this attack round right now. They've had such great momentum and mostly, for the most part, some great attacks. It's about closing it out.
So, once more, the Chiefs have been given that opportunity to start with a very, I would say with the greatest opportunity here. They really do have all the momentum. And as you've already touched on, double defense on OT. We may not even need that. Who knows? I mean, that's the real thing right now. But Fisho has been somewhat quiet in the frag department, although you know that that just can't be attributed to poor performance, because there is no doubt Fisho is a strong player and will have the impact that's needed. Now, at a minute 40, Fnatic have been able to push back Pixel, meaning that is control of Piano. There's no one extended just yet, but Worthy is below, so they've got to be cautious.
Fisher just evaded like 5 stun grenades and about 3 players looking at him, and he somehow managed to stay alive, and somehow Worthy has found that opening pick. So here it is again, the Chiefs. They could not find an opening pick to save their lives for 9 rounds, and now they've had the last 3. The tides have certainly started to turn here.
Will we sing their praises in little less than 2 to 3 rounds? That's the real question. With Tex down, we look to Stigs, to Lusty, to maybe be the shining light for Fnatic. They've not been given a hell of a lot just yet. Chiefs are playing extremely deep, not really looking for those opening engagements. You can just see the lines that they're holding do not tell a firm story for Fnatic. In fact, it's all concerns from here on out. They're going to need to take these opening engagements, and just like that, Nag's been able to find one.
Yeah, very important, but 30 seconds, Manic. They have not had much good time control or map take or anything like that. They've been stuck here in Piano and Cigar. Time for them to go deep and try and fight this out.
Alfama once more being the leading cause here. Stiggs has been able to come around the backside. The C4 doesn't come off in time. It's been stuck. And in a 3 versus 3, Fnatic swarm the site. Bisho looking to reclaim Cigar with Worthy. But this is just such a difficult retake for the defense. What an unbelievable shot from Worthy. That gives them a look back into it. But at least one, if not both players right now for Fnatic are going to sit pretty. They're going to wait for the Chiefs to make their mistakes, and mistakes they have to. Oh, Fisho, he has to hit this shot. And oh my goodness, it's now Alfama who's come down in a Cigar. They don't have the information. And Fisho, he's going to have to push this. There's no time left in it. Fnatic, they are going to take that first attack. And that is a big one, Raven. That is huge.
That is huge, because it felt like that execute was not in their favor. And on top of that, the history of this match would say that attack isn't in their favor. So to book that in, the opening OT round, it's very big from Fnatic there. Chiefs are going to be kicking themselves because they pretty much had that. I didn't quite see the count, honestly. It got a bit chaotic, but it felt like it was a 2v4 or 3v4 plant phase in favor of Chiefs. Just to let it slip by. And now, this is where it gets very interesting, Manic. Kitchen cooking, Chiefs on attack. They did not win it once back in the first half.
This is a great call from Fnatic. You know that when you've got that confidence, when you've been able to demoralize your opponents, going on to a favored site on a favored half, it is going to cause concerns here. Worthy, for the first time, I believe, are we going to see Yana? Could that be the difference maker? That is the question. You would say that Chiefs would most likely feel like Kitchen would be that side of contention, but once more, Fnatic are going to be sticking the Mozzie Mute combo. And what I want to see is, are they going to put bodies on the top floor? Are they going to be putting some emphasis in behind these Mute Jammers, in behind the Pests?
It's a very big round. Again, just a reminder, everybody, I know we've talked about it a lot, but this will decide who can continue to play on for 3rd place at best, or who will be stuck hunting for 4th place. And now there is a difference in SI points, and that could really come back to bite you. So look, this is a big game. You want to remain in this upper bracket. You want to have the best chance to get 3rd and get the most amount of SI points possible out of this APAC playoffs bracket.
Whether it's the Chiefs that have let it slip on their defense, or Fnatic really taking claim to this overtime, either way you flip the story, it is match point once more for Fnatic. They've been on match point 5 times now and haven't been able to successfully convert it. Well, really 4 times, including that win. Oh, surely that's not going to hit someone. Nope, doesn't do so. And that's 1 C4 out of the pocket gone. Still 2 more remain, though.
Really not sure the info that's being acted on there either, because we saw that in a previous round from, I think it was also Lusty. It was also a Kobe into the Oblivion. It's just a bit of a waste, but it's what it is. It's going to help the Chiefs at least. 1 less denial. First minute has been a bit slow from them, though. Just being so cautious. Again, droning out these players of Fnatic. They just aren't here. This is the issue we saw time and time again from the Chiefs' attacks, is they're just... roam clear is taking far too long.
Yep. Roam clearing with no roaming going on, only on the 2nd floor, or... although it would seem, is there even anyone on the 2nd floor? No. All 5 players for Fnatic are on the 1st floor, Raven. And the Chiefs are still So unclear on what's going on.
Yep, just saw a pre-placed as well, which is about to potentially come into play here. The show is going to cheekily use that Selma charge on the side of the hatch. Now, of course, it will reach out and actually open a part of the hatch.
Yep.
And he's going to go and utilize that again. That is going to open the hatch. So, look, there's a nice little trick to take into your ranked games. But
Yep.
Chiefs finally have some vertical control now. They're using this sledge to open some holes and see if they can get some picks. But this is really critical. If they don't find anything through the floor here, I'd say in the next 30 seconds, this execute is going to be just insanely tough for them.
And we saw from Fnatic, they were able to find these picks. They were able to find the engagements. But the Chiefs were looking for it, whereas Fnatic are just not whatsoever, Raven. They're sitting a lot deeper. VIP, Coats, they're not even looking to play for it right now.
But this might be an early execute. Fisho times the smoke well. Some great stuns. And this looks like it's the execute, Manic. They're going to go in, and Fisho's planting.
Oh, the double door. What's being held right now? Fisho doesn't know where that yokai is, and Fnatic, they're sitting pretty right now. They're really comfortable. In comes the yokai and the C4. They still haven't dealt with that yokai. They've got absolutely no idea. Fisho's going to be able to take down a pushing Lusty, and now into a 3 versus 2. They still haven't dealt with the yokai. They're going to need to... Oh, no! Alfama, he missed the timing. That's given the Chiefs an opportunity here. Stig's going to look for the contact. He can't find the kill. Surely this is not how we go to round 15. Surely Alfama can bring this back, Raven. My goodness, what on earth is that timing? Pushing back through Freezer is going to be caught by the open arms of Worthy. And that is going to haunt Fnatic for days to come.
I mean, it will if they end up going on to lose this game. But look, that is very unfortunate for Alfama there. Bit of a bundle, but a good attack from Chiefs in the end. They were a bit slow, but they took the control needed. It was great use of utility to get in for the execute, got the plant down. Luckily, honestly. But at the end of the day, they've got the round. And now it just comes down to this, Manic. The final round for this matchup. And it's Chiefs onto the defense again. And they're going to go kitchen.
Okay, let's just talk about this very quickly. It's been a 4-2 half on both occasions for the defense. And we've just seen both overtime rounds go the way of the attackers. Oh my word. We now have to go to kitchen to decide. It is round 15. There is no more opportunities. There are no more mistakes that can be made by either of these rosters, which we have seen. It's all on the line, Raven. And you couldn't ask for a better storyline to kickstart the playoffs campaign for either of these teams.
Yeah, look, it's a fantastic match for us to start off on. It really is. And it feels very tense. Again, just looking at round history, this was actually the round, or the site, I should say, that the Chiefs won to push it to overtime. Round 12, it was kitchen cooking. If you can cast your minds back, it was the one where it was a very late execute, about 30 seconds. And we saw an Alfama team kill, unfortunate again as the players are dropping hatch. Just kind of all fell apart, so this is it. It's been a great game of adaptations and fighting back and forth, but who has adapted the best? And we're going to find out in this round.
My oh my. The Chiefs not putting any presence on that top floor. Well, at least bodies, I should say. So Fnatic most likely take their time in approaching it, making sure they're doing their due diligence, making sure that they have no questions to be asked. But in saying that, they have a lot of information to go off, or so it would seem, because they are not wasting any time at all in taking it, Raven.
Yeah, they are just breezing past. They're not falling for the Mozzie pests here or the Mute Jammers. They're just going to go straight on through. Now, God Legion is looming, as is Worthy. This is a little more aggressive from the Chiefs than what we saw from Fnatic, at least. There is actual presence here on the second floor. And that could be a do or die here thing from the Chiefs if they manage to stick this. Because if they get some kills on the roam, super successful. But if they lose bodies here, Fnatic are in a great position.
A double Maestro setup, they are definitely expecting Fnatic to look for that freezer play, for that hatch drop, to secure themselves a free plant. Chiefs are playing a lot more passive now. It looks like they've completely inverted Raven.
Yeah, fully dropped back to site now. It looks like they are just pieced on out. And it was a good clear regardless from Fnatic. Again, the time management for their attacks have just been, honestly, so much better than what we saw from the Chiefs, at least. And it's putting Fnatic in a great position to close this. And speaking of great positions, that is a fantastic drone position, giving Mag all the info he'd need to be able to put this together. Again, it feels like this is playing into the hands of Fnatic. They're going to have some great vert. If they manage to find the opening pick here, it's going to be very tough for the Chiefs.
Both rounds we've seen from Fnatic on their attacking side of Kitchen, they have actually looked fairly decent in the opening first two phases, but the second it came to the execute, something happened. And it just did not look pretty whatsoever. Like you said, that intel is going to play dividends, Raven.
Oh my god, Digital is just running through all the verts right now. They're trying to get aggressive on this double door position. 30 seconds though, Alfama is sticking plant. Tex finds the opening. This could be the Fnatic win.
There's no way of denying it. Chiefs in retake mode. They've got about 30 seconds to make this work. Oh, Fnatic double down. And Chiefs have nothing to respond with. Worthy 1 versus 5. There is absolutely no hope for you here. You may be able to find a kill. Not even that. What a round to close out our first game in the APAC playoffs.
Oh man, what a big game there, Rob. That was so back and forth. Fnatic felt like they always had it in the bag, but the Chiefs did not go away. They really did fight back, but ultimately Fnatic booked in the points. They managed to move through the upper bracket here. It's a really solid performance from them.
Certainly is, and you know, they have now positioned themselves in the best possible placing moving forward in this weekend's matches. Of course, talking about this weekend's matches, we have 3 days jam-packed of Siege action, and to kick it off in this fashion, man, I can't wait for what's coming ahead.
Tell me about it. I can't believe the opening game already this exciting. I mean, we knew it was going to be exciting, right? It's Chiefs versus Fnatic. The desk set it up very well. There is a deep storyline here between the two teams, and just the stakes of every match in these playoffs. How could it not be exciting?
I don't think that there's a way that we can look at this and say that this weekend is not going to give us the best storylines, is not going to give us some of the best action, because I mean, when you kickstart like this, and I think I've actually just seen our wonderful casters in the green room saying that there has been a cheeky little upset. We're not going to touch on that at all because that's not my place to do so. But if this is really the way this weekend is going to kickstart, there is so much more to come. But I mean, Fnatic, that was it good enough? Was it convincing enough? I don't know, but it certainly put them in the right stead. There's no questions.
Yeah, look, I think they played really well. They should have closed it out in regulation. The Chiefs, they also played okay, but I think between the two teams, for me personally, I felt like Fnatic played clearly better for the regular rounds. Yeah. And I felt like it should have been over in regulation. I think Fnatic were up 6-3 at one stage.
Yes.
And it really did feel like the match was done and dusted. It felt like Fnatic just had to book it in, and I couldn't quite close it out. Now, if they do manage to tighten that up, well, I feel like they've got a pretty good shot, actually, to have a bit of an upper bracket run here.
Well, they could well do. That's going to be all from us here at the caster's desk. We're going to throw it over to Xenox and the crew to break it all down.
Thank you very much, boys. What a way to kickstart the APAC playoffs, guys. 8-7 overtime win for Fnatic. They had to go the distance, and Chiefs took it right up to them, but fall short on the final hurdle, Dev.
Yeah, they certainly did. Really impressive showing from Fnatic, honestly. I think that a lot of people still have some nostalgia for the Fnatic of old, but let's be honest, they haven't really achieved a lot since they lost Virtue to G2, right? So I think you can still look at them with a bit of a critical lens, and I think they've quelled a lot of our doubts right here. They played really well. I think it's great that they finally moved all their players, except for Alfama, to Perth, which means that Dizzle can kind of do a little bit more hands-on coaching, and, you know, I think we saw that manifest in the server. 2 flawless rounds from them, a lot of executes, some of them, you know, a bit off the mark, but I think you can't deny that Fnatic were pretty well in sync, and they certainly had the upper hand over Chiefs.
Yeah, they did make it a little bit more difficult for themselves than they probably would have liked. In regulation, for example, when they're on match point, they tried to execute a rush, didn't quite work out. They let a couple of rounds slip, and the Chiefs had some really nice momentum heading into overtime. They didn't quite capitalize upon that. In fact, the only round that the Chiefs won in overtime, we could argue, is off the back of Alfama's mistake on the Echo, which I'm sure would have haunted him had Fnatic had have lost the match, but they ended it in a dominant fashion. It was like a 5 versus 1. They had site control, pretty crazy. And they'll be looking to just continue that throughout the rest of the bracket, which already is shaping up to be pretty damn crazy.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll touch on that in very short amount of time. But Dev, I want to go to you here because something that the boys touched on in the broadcast was, of course, the fact that, and it was your stat too, I'll give you the credit for it, but Chiefs can't get third now, right? If we look at the bracket, there's no way for them to get back up into the upper bracket. So 4th place is the best they can get.
Yeah, honestly, like it kind of takes a while for that to sink in, but that's quite a significant loss here. If you want to get 3rd place overall in APAC, you have to go flawless through these playoffs, through the upper bracket. And yeah, Chiefs have not done that. There's another team that's also failed to do that so far as well, which we'll get to in a minute, which I'm so excited to talk about. But yeah, this is massive for Fnatic because it means that door is still open for them. As Guz mentioned in the pre-show, Krapel, who's the coach, our strategic coach of Fnatic, he'd already said that their goal was 3rd or 4th. They wouldn't be happy with anything less than that. Well, they're still on track. Well, a bit of a shaky start, but they're still on track for that 3rd place overall.
Let's go and have a chat with Mag from Fnatic after their victory against the Chiefs 8-7. Welcome on in, Mag. Firstly, congratulations on the victory against the Chiefs. Of course, though, only one game in what's going to be a marathon of games this weekend.
Can't hear us.
You can't hear us. Do I need to like write my notes and just... Well, we'll get back to him when he can actually hear us. I was going to attempt to write it out for him. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. So what we'll do, instead of actually having a chat with Mag, we will actually touch on the broadcast game that was, of course, off air. That was Kira versus Cyclops. And Guz, what a victory it was for Kira. Can you believe it? The South Asian team has knocked off Cyclops in that best of 1. That was over on Chalet. 8-7. That's right. It went the distance there as well.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Of course, our attention was on the Fnatic Chiefs game, and all of us on the second monitor also had the game that was off stream, and we were keeping our eyes on both. And it was a really, really tight match from what we saw. Kira, they've done it. They have beaten Cyclops, the team from APAC North, in the 1st round. They are keeping the dream alive of finishing in 3rd place, and that would be a huge boost, not only just for the team, but for the region as well. So very keen to see how that run continues. Of course, it means that they'll be taking on Fnatic next, a massive opponent, the biggest opponent you could argue they have ever versed. In fact, it would be the biggest opponent they have ever versed in Siege. So it's going to be a massive game for them.
It's actually the first time a South Asian team has ever beaten a team from outside of South Asia as well, which is honestly unbelievable, especially because it was against my favorite team, or like my favorites to win the tournament rather, CAG, which is honestly amazing, and especially Kira, like it's a 2nd seed team from South Asia. Who knows what can happen with Mercs as well. So yeah, massive upset. Honestly, I just can't believe it. That is just so crazy. Massive moment for APAC history, honestly, in Rainbow Six, and especially for South Asia. I know they have some very passionate fans, so they'll be very happy right now.
They should be very happy with that result. Most importantly, it means we are going to, at some point, now see Kira Esports, of course. They will be taking on Fnatic. The 2 winners then are now going to play later on in the day, I believe, as well. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup to watch. It's good news as well for South Asia that they will get to see their team. Along with the fact, though, of course, that, you know, knocking off Cyclops, as you said, Dev, an incredible feat at that. So let's go and have a look at the bracket here. As you can see on your screens, 2 teams that move forward. Kira Esports, Fnatic, they will play each other later on today in what will be their final best of 1s for really the playoffs as a whole, whether they win or lose it. Unfortunately, though, for Cyclops and Chiefs, they do drop down to the bottom side of the bracket. That means they can no longer get 3rd place, and they will begin their gauntlet journey to 4th place, Guz.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate if you find yourself in the lower bracket early on. It means you have a bit of a slog ahead of you, potentially 4 best of 3s over the next 3 days, which will be tough work, but we should, of course, be able to narrow those teams down and work out who is the best, and, of course, crown our 4th place team in APAC. Of course, taking our attention back to the top of the bracket, though, as we mentioned, Kira v Fnatic, that's going to be a banging match. But we are still trying to work out who is going to take the second slot there, I guess, or the second match in that upper bracket. And that will all begin, I guess, on the other side of the break.
Yeah, just another tidbit, we didn't really touch on this, but with Cyclops and Chiefs both going into the lower bracket, they will face each other, and one of those teams will go out first rounded without any SI points. That's just nuts, honestly. That is crazy to think that one of those two massive teams would be at the bottom of the standings. I think a lot of people had expected the South Asian teams to fill both of those spots, and good on South Asia. You've stood up for yourselves and said that they're not to be underestimated. But we'll see whether Fnatic underestimates Kira in their upcoming game. I think Fnatic, overall, it's been a bit of a rough season for them. They had a lot of overtime losses. They fortunately had two significant wins that really helped them get across the line against Talon and against CAG. And maybe that form has carried them into this game, and maybe they're in a good spot to actually make the run all the way through and take third place.
Well, no, we are in a good spot to get back over to Mag and have that interview. Hopefully this time we don't need sign language. Firstly, can you hear me, mate?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Thumbs up. Awesome. Congratulations on the win against the Chiefs. You guys move forward. You're going to be taking on Kira Esports. I just have to ask quite bluntly, how was it playing against another Aussie team after all this time?
Bit refreshing, I'd say, because they weren't just running at us at 100%, but today Fnatic were back at full swing. However, we did close it out at the end, and yeah, well, we've scrimmed Chiefs a lot. We know how they play, but definitely refreshing.
I've got a question, which is about your move to Perth and kind of the roster changes and everything you've been through. What's it like? You guys are finally actually side by side, as we saw Tex make his appearance just there. How does that affect your practice? Obviously Dizzle regimenting the team. And how do you think it's contributed to your actual making playoffs and your improvement, and now your victory in your opening game?
Yep, so being together in a bootcamp like scenario definitely improves your performance like in a game as well as practice, and especially the whole ping issue as well. But the practice itself, it is a lot better, and we can get a lot more done because we are all on the same sort of time zone and we eat at the same time and all that. But yeah, it's definitely a huge improvement in terms of sort of practice environment compared to last year, and it has showed in games.
Yeah, I'm just keen to quickly ask, Mag, of course you have a little bit of a break now and you will be taking on Kira in your next match. I'd say probably safe to assume you might not have been expecting that matchup, so how are you feeling going into that one?
Definitely did not see that coming. It was 7-8, I believe, to Kira. However, when it comes to the South Asian teams, the Indian teams, we are just going to focus on ourselves in our game and not sort of look too much into how they play. But definitely interesting to say the least.
Won't keep you around for too long, mate. We'll let you go. Best of luck in the matches to come today.
Thank you.
We got there in the end, boys. Second time was the charm in the end. Final thoughts before I guess we go to a break. I'll go to you first, Guz. But we've got our two teams moving forward. Whichever match you want to touch on and share any final thoughts, the floor is yours.
Yeah, look, I know we don't have this match coming up next, but Fnatic v Kira, who knows what could happen? If Kira play their absolute best like they did against Cyclops, I would have to assume that that match is going to be really, really exciting. And I think just on a personal level, at least for the South Asian fans, this is huge. They don't get massive opportunities like this to play on the main channel often. This is the first time that they're playing cross-regionally as well outside of South Asia. So awesome for them. And I really hope that that is an exciting match and we get to see the best of what that region has to offer.
Dev?
Honestly, I'm just... can't believe that this early, it's already been turned up on its head with not only the Kira upset, but also Fnatic Chiefs being as close as it was. I think that we're in for a really banging on playoffs.
Certainly going to be a great day. We've only just gotten started. More matches to come after the break.